Hello, and welcome to our webinar today, which is our 3-step guide to getting into freelance medical writing. So I'm Virginia, and here with me today is Hass, and we're going to go through our presentation to help you get into freelance medical writing. So let's go through, next slide, please. Let's go through if you're in the right place. So you're in the right place if you're a healthcare professional or someone with a science background and you want to work remotely. You might also want to spend more time with your family or traveling, and you might want to work with a variety of clients. So maybe being a full-time employee or an in-house writer isn't for you because you don't get to pick what you do and what you work on. And you're also ready to be your own boss as a freelancer. So when you're a freelancer, you're essentially starting your own business. And you're also here because you are ready to invest the time to learn a new skill. So if you have a question, then please click on the chat. There should be a little chat bubble in the bottom right. And you can ask us any questions by typing in the chat, and we'll answer as many as we can at the end.
Before we start, just turn off your phone or put it on silent and put it to the side just to try and get everything that we bring out to you in this webinar. So hopefully you learn a lot from us, and hopefully it kind of shows you what freelance medical writing is and how you can get into it.
So during this masterclass, you will learn these 3 top things. Hass, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so first of all, is 3 of the biggest mistakes that will stop you from switching career. And these are pretty big ones because both Virginia and I got into medical writing rather unconventionally. And we had to go through these processes ourselves without any guidance. And it was quite difficult. And it was only over time that we realized there are 3 pretty crucial barriers that you have to overcome. So we'll be covering those in this webinar. There's also the 3 exact steps you need to take to find medical writing clients. Though there isn't a set in stone step-by-step process, but there are some methods which all of us use as medical writers to help us find clients, and it is sort of a step process. It's not written anywhere, but it's sort of like a rule that we all follow. And also at the end, we have a very exciting announcement and exclusive VIP offer to offer everyone who's been following Right Clinic. So do stay tuned for that.
So I'm Virginia, and I'm a UK qualified pharmacist, and I now work as a freelance medical copywriter. So my background is I was freelancing, then I worked full-time for a year at a medical communications agency where I didn't get to choose what I worked on. And then I worked for a year full-time as an in-house medical copywriter for a digital health company. And unfortunately, I was made redundant from both of my full-time roles. And so now I'm going full freelance and embracing a new lifestyle where I can work when I want and work with who I want to work with.
And I'm Hass. I'm also a UK qualified pharmacist, and I started off working as a freelance medical writer. So I was actually stuck in an island during COVID. I was on Bali and couldn't get home. So I was like, oh no, I need to find a way to make money. And I got into writing somehow. So I started off as a freelancer, and I freelanced for about 2 years working with different clients, be it, freelance agencies or just independent contract clients themselves. And eventually I landed a role full-time as a medical writer within an agency. I was also unfortunately made redundant not long ago. This is because the industry has its ups and downs. But I am back now to working full-time freelance, and I'm working my way up through, creating an income that I'm very satisfied with, and I'll be sharing my journey as well. So hopefully this will help you get a bit of a teaser of what we both do.
So where are you now, Hass?
So I'm now currently actually living in Lisbon. I work as a digital nomad. My partner is a travel writer. We like traveling around and working remotely. And as a medical writer, I can't do that despite being a healthcare professional. So, I've worked in Bali, I've worked in Spain, and now we're working in Lisbon. And, we can travel when we want, and it's fantastic.
Amazing. So I'm currently in Germany, for those who don't know. And I moved here because my husband got a job here, and then I had to switch career from being a full-time pharmacist for 7 years in London to going completely remote and completely digital. So that's how we have both ended up abroad as medical writers, and it's been a great career for us to get into. So both independently and through medical writing agencies, we have worked with the following clients.
So I've worked, both Virginia and I have approached these companies directly, or they've approached us, or with different medical writing agencies we've worked with, we've had to work on different projects for these clients. So as you can see, they're very varied. Some of them are, independent online pharmacies, clinics, whereas others are, huge fitness brands. They have the NHS. We even have YouTube, with Virginia being an up and rising health star on YouTube.
Thank you, Has. You're too
You're
kind.
very welcome.
So I'm working on creating health content that meets certain standards that the NHS and the Academy of Medical Royal Colleges have created. So there are now also standards for videos and social media content. And previously, I did a project with a contraceptive company, and I had my work reviewed by the PAGB, and Has has had his work reviewed. Bless you, Has, by the ABPI, who have very strict standards as well when it comes to talking about medicines and medical procedures. So we've worked with pharma, we've worked with magazines, we've worked with online doctors, and also big brands like the NHS, YouTube, Gymshark, Boehringer. So we are very varied in what we've achieved over the past few years in a short time, and we want to help you out with our experience and what we've learned.
And then obviously we've combined our medical writing experience to create Write Clinic. We've been sharing our journeys, independently before we even met, and we've both had a lot of, I guess, traction, people interested in what we do. So we decided to, clash our minds together and create Write Clinic with hopes of educating and inspiring people who, like us, are in the healthcare background and are sort of wanting more of a balanced lifestyle, and so they can work whatever they want to do, compared to, being stuck in a clinic. So, as we mentioned before, there are 3 really big mistakes stopping you from switching career.
So the first one is not making time to work towards your goals. So apart from it being overwhelming that Hass and I were both abroad and away from our usual career as pharmacists, we felt that it was too difficult, and we were afraid of what would happen if we dedicated the time to try something new. So actually putting in the time to write for ourselves without actually getting paid for anything helped us to build our portfolio. And it also gave us the confidence to take the time to reach out to lots of potential clients or people that may want to work with us as pharmacists. So I think when it comes to the value of time, if you invest it early, then you're more likely to reap the rewards later. So even now, I'm still spending a lot of time writing scripts for YouTube videos, which, I was doing in my own time before. And then I built up a video portfolio. So now people are more interested in video content, and having a foundation as a medical writer helps me to work towards my goal to kind of move more into video content. So taking the time, whether that is an hour or 2 hours per day or even per week, to just dedicate yourself to learning something new can help you reach your goals faster. And you'll also be able to improve your skills quicker if you put in that time consistently. So putting in, an hour this week, but then putting in nothing the following week means that you're going to make really slow progress. So to make progress faster, you want to put in the time to work towards your goals, which are to have that lifestyle of a freelancer and be more in charge of your time and who you want to work with. And also not be afraid of losing your job like I was when I was made redundant twice. And I still think about that now. I'm not ready to go into any full-time work because there is a fear that I'll just be made redundant and then I'll have to go and start and find freelance clients again, which takes up a lot of time. So the sooner you start, the sooner you get to where you want to go.
And just to add on that as well, it takes time for clients to get back to you at times as well. So whenever you're reaching out to a freelance client, whether it's a cold pitch or responding to a job advert, a lot of people are rushing and they kind of forget to realize that it might take more than a week for somebody to get back to you. Like some of my highest paying clients got back to me maybe 2 months after I reached out to them. And I'd often forget about them, and then I'd get a random email, be like, "Oh my God, hey Hassan, we haven't forgotten about you. It's been very busy." And that take me a while to understand. I need to give people time when I reach out to them. So whenever you are pitching somebody for some freelance work, if you don't get a reply straight away, don't take that as a rejection. Always remember to follow up and sort of give your client the time they need to get back to you as well, because they'll often have things in-house that need to focus on.
Very true. Yeah, I agree.
So the second one is social media, and there are kind of three aspects of social media. I'll let Virginia cover the one of putting yourself out there because she is fantastic at doing it. But for me, what I've been using is sort of understanding which social media platforms to use to kind of leverage myself as a medical writer. So you have your Instagram, which can also work. People are unaware that Instagram does work, but if you follow different medical companies on Instagram, you can gauge what they're doing and what kind of content they produce. And if it's writing wise, there's nothing stopping you from reaching out, following them, and demonstrating your appreciation for what they do and asking them if they need help. Likewise with Twitter, people always post about needing more writers and in different industries, or you can even follow different editors who work for different medical journals, and they'll often post about needing writers to contribute to certain segments. And obviously you have LinkedIn, which is the jack of all trades when it comes to writing, which we'll cover a bit later on in this webinar.
Yeah, thank you for that, Has. I think with the fear of putting yourself out there on social media, you are holding yourself back from so many opportunities by not sharing what you know and also not interacting with people. So when we talk about social media, you don't have to come up with anything new. You can simply share something that you have read that your audience might find interesting. So there are people like you in the healthcare community or in the science community who will find your content really interesting or find whatever you share with them really interesting. So as an example, with the NHS, I talk about, my process of working with them. And for me, it doesn't sound that interesting, but a lot of people won't have the same experience or won't be able to have the same experience. And so they can take that information and apply it to their own processes and what they're doing. And you also can just comment on other people's content. So by commenting, you're showing that you're willing to put yourself out there and people might be interested in the post that you've commented on. And also they will try and network with the other people who are interested in it as well. So when you see a post that you're really interested in it, make sure that you do actually interact with it. So like it or type a short comment to say, thank you for sharing that. So it shows that you appreciate what you've just read. And a lot of the time, people will click on who's liked a particular post, or they'll read through the comments because they want to see other people's reactions and they can connect with you that way. So don't think too much about what other people will think. And also, the more you put yourself out there, the more comfortable you'll become putting yourself out there. So then once you're ready to move away from just liking a post or commenting on it, then you can start to introduce your own original content. And for example, there are some AI articles that LinkedIn has produced, and they're looking for contributions from real humans because AI is never going to be human and it can't share experiences because it's not a human, so it won't have experiences. Whereas with real human contributions, that's another way to kind of put yourself out there. And one of the rules for putting yourself out there is to make sure that you are consistent in what you talk about. So if you want to be known for something, try and stick to your kind of area and just keep at it for as long as possible, because people are more likely to come to you as an expert in something rather than someone who's just sharing really random content. So, for example, I talk about medical writing all the time and everything to do with content creation. And Hass will talk a lot about traveling and the challenges that he's going through, and also medical writing. So even though you're talking about a common topic, you want to make it as unique as you. So Hass doesn't do YouTube, but what he does do is he travels a lot. So he talks about his experiences with lots of different clients, and his unique spin on medical writing is mostly journalism. For me, I'm most interested in video production, so I will talk more about that. But we're both talking about medical writing, just in different ways. And so if you're struggling to think about what to talk about, think about what you enjoy the most and what you know about the most, because what you know a lot about will be something new or fresh to other people who don't know that much about it. And to give another example, there was a person who was really interested in medical writing, and their expertise is actually the welfare of chickens. So they're a vet and they know all about how to look after chickens. And that's so unique. So if there was anyone that was looking for someone that knows about chickens, they would go directly to them because they're a medical writer and that's what they know about the most. And they're a vet as well. So don't be afraid. Just give it a go. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get. And you never know who will network with you. I often get messages from people who haven't commented or liked my post, but they'll send me a direct message because they want to speak to me immediately. So make sure you give it a go. Don't be afraid of social media.
Very well put.
Thank you.
And ignoring the spelling mistake on here, the last,
Sorry.
the last mistake that we medical writers sometimes feel is sort of a false sense of job security. And that could mean two things. So sometimes we think as medical writers, our job is never going to be safe. People sometimes think that being a medical writer, you're going to be fired straight away and redundancies happen. And, redundancies do happen, and that's in every industry. And obviously with AI coming out, some people may have that fear of working, full-time for an agency, you might get kicked out. But if if you do have the right set of skills, if you do have a healthcare background, you're initially much more preferred as an individual, like as a professional medical writer, than somebody who hasn't got that background, because you're able to tailor your work to kind of tackle the different aspects or different worries that these companies have. So a lot of the stuff in the medical writing industry, you're marketing towards healthcare professionals. Particularly if you're in the UK, you're never really marketing to patients, because marketing to patients is just, it's very limited in what we can market to patients. A lot of it is marketing to healthcare professionals. So if you are a healthcare professional by background, you've already had, say, pharmaceutical reps come to you and say, hey, look at our product. What do you think of this? So you kind of already know what the products are that you're going to be writing, because you've been a recipient of them. And having that valuable experience kind of saves the company you're working for a lot of time in terms of desktop research. So you'll automatically be very valued as a member of that company, and they'll want to leave you on there for a lot longer as well. But that's why also you can freelance, because with freelancing as well, you kind of don't have that fear of, will I be made redundant? So yes, whereas full-time, you can be in a company for a long while and work your way up through from, associate medical writer to principal. As a freelancer, you don't have to be worried about redundancies, because you can just keep maintaining the relationships with clients. And a lot of the times, if you look at your clients and just sort of, you can have a look at their revenue, see how well they're doing each year, keeping up to see like how they're growing. Are you running more? Are you being expected to write more pieces for different avenues? That kind of gives you an idea of how well your client is growing, and that will tell you whether or not they can still afford your services. And the beauty of freelance is that you can work with multiple clients. That's not your sole income. You can have 5 to 10 different clients who'll give you different incomes. And you kind of keep building that up until you get to a decent flow of clients that are consistently growing, whilst providing you with the income that you need to kind of thrive as a freelance medical writer. And you're still your own boss, so it works really well. Is there anything you need to add there as well, Virginia?
I was going to say that actually it was you, Hass, that told me while I was working in my previous job to continue to look for freelance clients just in case. And I thought, well, actually, I really like my job. I don't feel the pressure to look for anything else. And everyone is constantly telling me, oh, you're doing really well. We really appreciate your work. And I'm like, okay, so I don't know. I feel like redundancy, I became less and less afraid until the very last moment. Then I was made redundant. And I regret not listening to Has and actually spending the time to network more intentionally, because when you network, you really have to be intentional, so that you are constantly opening new doors, and not thinking too much about doors closing. So if you have a collection of clients as a freelancer, it's much better than just having one job. And if you have a full-time job at the moment and you're thinking of freelancing, it's really good to build that relationship as early as possible, so that it gives you the options. So if you no longer want to be at your job, or your job does suddenly make you redundant, then at least you've prepared for that scenario. So we always recommend that you also have savings. So if you do lose your job, or you have a dry patch when it comes to freelancing, so we call that the kind of feast or famine cycle. So you're in a famine patch if you haven't got many clients, or you're in a feast patch if you've got lots of clients. So it's important to make sure that you are constantly looking for clients, especially in the beginning, and then, like Has said, maintaining that relationship as long as possible. And we'll talk about retainers and things like that as well. So yeah, great points. So you might be wondering if you are ready to become a freelance medical writer. Well, you're in the right place if you're still here. And we've explained the top 3 mistakes so far. And now we're going to share with you the 3-step guide to becoming a freelance medical writer.
So the first step is building your portfolio. So we'll cover these individually, but there are many, many different ways of building your portfolio. I'll start off by talking about freelance platforms, because that's how I started off. When I started as a medical writer, I didn't actually have my own blog because I didn't really know how that worked. I didn't really have any guidance. But my friends at the time were like, "Oh, you should check out Upwork," and I was like, "Oh, what is Upwork?" So I clicked on it and had a look around, and basically saw that it was a massive job platform for people who want to hire different writers. And I know a lot of people kind of, downgrade Upwork and freelance platforms because they do exploit certain writers for um, very low rates. And where that's true for the most part, there are a lot of people out there for whom Upwork are for whom Upwork is the kind of the mainstay of where they get their clients and their money. Like, I've met a few medical writers who work solely on Upwork because it provides the client relationships on there. It kind of gives you all your income, gives you your tax information, it gives for the 10% fee that you're paying, it kind of gives you everything in one piece. So you don't actually have to go back and look back at your invoices, find out where it's coming from where. It makes life pretty easy. And if you know where to look on Upwork, you can find some really lucrative roles. So the first place to building a portfolio, I'd say would be to go to Upwork. And if you have no experience in medical writing, it can be tough to find a medical writing job on Upwork that will pay you good rates. Because, first of all, most good rates don't really come on Upwork. But second of all, you're going to be competing with a lot of other people out there who do have experiences. So what I did, I honed on my healthcare experience. So I applied for quite a few roles. I'd say about 20 to 30 roles on Upwork when I first started, before I landed anything. And when you create an account, I think you have like 100 connects. I invested about $20 of my own money to buy like 300 more connects, which allowed me to apply for more roles. And if I thought about it, like, if I land one article that will pay me $30, that pays for all my connects, whilst giving me a portfolio piece, which is more value to me than the $30 at the time. So I honed in my experiences. I wrote my pitches and my letter of interest to the clients, highlighting my healthcare experience. And I kind of describe how having me write their pieces is fundamental to kind of helping them grow and give their readers the trust that whatever is written by a UK qualified pharmacist. So whenever you're writing a letter of interest or a proposal on Upwork, always make sure to incorporate how you can help them because of your background, not just I can help you write content because this is what I do. So you want to sell yourself as an individual and your expertise. And if people are going to be using your bylines, they want someone with a good byline to be on there because their website will look better having your name on there and your background and expertise. So don't be afraid to do that. I wouldn't say stay on Upwork the entire time because there are much more lucrative ways of finding work, as we'll talk down through this building your portfolio steps. But when it comes to first starting out and you're trying to trying to get a grasp of what people ask you, what briefs look like, and what you can be expected to write, Upwork is a fantastic place to start.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think when you complete your first few projects on Upwork and you get those testimonials, then those are things that you can share in your portfolio, and they're so valuable because it makes you feel validated as a new medical writer, and it helps you get more work. So starting your own blog can be quite a challenge, and I definitely figured out how to create a website. It took a while, and I didn't do it perfectly, but at least I had my own writing that I could use as a sample. So once I got onto freelance platforms like Upwork, then I was able to share something or a piece of my writing. And so I wrote about travel health because part of my pharmacist career was being a travel health pharmacist for 5 years. So I'd give people vaccinations and then also travel health advice on things like anti-malarials and sunburn and things like that. And so I really enjoyed writing my blog, and it gave me, those stepping stones to getting my first clients. And I also entered competitions as well, on which I found out about through social media. So I applied to be a writer for a pharmacist channel, and apparently there were like 900 other applicants, and I had to write a short script because I made it to the final 20. And because I had got used to writing on my blog, it felt like less of a burden. So building your portfolio can also help you develop habits to become a better writer. So you know how long it takes you to create something. And social media is in itself a portfolio. So your LinkedIn profile is like a CV, but it's much more than that because it will have examples of your content that you're putting out there that people are commenting on. And you can also feature some of your best pieces in the featured section. So on Instagram, if you are into creating a very visual portfolio, you never know where your audience is going to be and where they might want to send you a message. So Instagram and Twitter and Reddit are great places for people to directly message you. On LinkedIn, there's a bit of a barrier to messaging you, so you might want to include your email or encourage people to connect with you so then they can send you a direct message. And you can also see examples of other writers' work. So on LinkedIn is a great example. You can follow other writers, see what they've done, and then you can emulate them or get inspiration from them. So I've definitely seen a lot of fantastic portfolios from other writers, and I take inspiration from that. And then I went and redid my whole website. It took a couple of years, but it's definitely been worth it, even just hanging out on social media to get that portfolio online. And yeah, make sure that you get into a regular habit of writing as well. So if you do a blog or you're on social media, try to post once a week and see what kind of feedback you get. And you can also have somebody look at your portfolio as well. So it's worth investing doing that.
And just to add to that as well, so you can use social media to help you find your clients as well. So as much as well as posting and showcasing your experience, you can use different social medias to kind of reach out to different people for help. So with LinkedIn and Twitter, for example, on the search bar, you can actually search for different terms. You don't have to search for people or for companies. So you can search, looking for copyright, looking for medical copyright, and then just filter the search. So I usually like filter it to, most recent, global. And it will show you who's been posting a LinkedIn post being like, hi network, we're looking for a medical copywriter to help us out with X, Y, and Z. And that way you can kind of suss out who's written the post most recently, who's got there was least comments on it, who hasn't reached out to them, and sort of reach out and introduce yourself on LinkedIn. And if you don't have any in-mail, which is sort of the credits you have on LinkedIn to reach out to people, you can always just write a comment being like, hey, let's call them Amanda. I tried to reach out to you. I don't have an in-mail credit. Do you mind connecting with me, sending me a DM? And then you can put a link to your portfolio. So, and the same goes with Twitter. If you type in looking for a medical copywriter on Twitter, you'll find out who's most recently tweeted about looking for medical copywriters. Obviously, not every tweet will say looking for a medical copywriter. It could be like looking over here, copywriting over here. And people just, that comes up as well. So you just have to filter through them. But doing that really helps you, find out which companies are looking for freelancers. So they might not be, advertising it as a job, more as like an internal thing. So it's a really good place to look. And with Reddit, you have different communities, like r/medical writing, I think it is, and r/freelance writers. And if you look through those, it's like just people asking questions about medical writing, as you guys are doing now. And sometimes people go in there and try and hire medical writers, and sometimes people go in there and provide more information, or they have a worry they want to share with everyone. So it's just always good to kind of join these communities and understand what's going on. And there's also Facebook. We haven't really mentioned it well, but Facebook has a lot of groups. So there are medical writing groups, content writing groups, freelance writing groups on Facebook. And a lot of these are fantastic. A lot of people share insights and share jobs too. So just try and join as many groups as you can, interact with people on there, introduce yourself in the groups, and see what there's available.
So networking is the number one thing you should do after you create your portfolio. So you need to keep up networking all the time because you don't know what opportunities are out there. And how did I get to meet Vishal, who is the head of YouTube Health UK and Ireland, in person? So I joined a group called Doctors in Content. So even though I'm not a doctor, I don't let that be a barrier. So just go ahead and join groups, even if you think that you don't really belong there, because people will always welcome you. And so I joined that group, and then somebody posted a link to say, oh, there's a March masterclass that YouTube are holding for health content creators. So I joined that masterclass. I diligently attended all 5 sessions in March. So they were once a week for 5 weeks. And Vishal was presenting how to, get started on YouTube. And then at the end of that, he said, oh, there's going to be an event in July. So sometime between March and July, I was following him on LinkedIn, and he posted about an event in July, which was for clinicians. So again, doctors. And I actually sent him an email, and I said, because I had his email from the March course, I said, oh, can I please attend, even though I'm a pharmacist? And he said, yes, of course you can. And so I was like, yay, okay, I'm going to book my flight tickets, because I had to book a flight to go there. And to go to London, because that's where the event was. And since then, he's invited me to be on the panel recently. So that's where I was last week at the YouTube Health Features launch event. And it's just been a fantastic opportunity to, continue to maintain that relationship with him. And then all the other people that can see I have a relationship with him also contact me as well. So attend things, even if you don't feel like you should go, or you feel like you're not meant to be there, because you don't know who you'll end up making a relationship with. And, they'll see your hard work and they'll invite you to do things. So I guess that covers point number 1, which is social media, mainly LinkedIn. I don't spend as much time on Twitter, but I know Hass has loads of insights on that. And Hass also spends more time on Instagram. I am the moderator for r/medical writers, which I've put in the chat, which is a Reddit community. And loads of people ask questions there, because you can ask questions anonymously. So it's not linked to your LinkedIn or any personal information about you. So if you're not already in our LinkedIn group, which you should be, then Reddit is a great place if you just want to write things anonymously on the internet. And you can also see all of the answers to common questions previously as well. So I would definitely recommend spending time on social media, but also being intentional about it as well. So don't get sucked up into scrolling and just looking at content. Make sure that you're interacting with people and you're sending messages to people, and you're looking for events to attend. So again, well done if you're here in the webinar, you're attending. So yeah, and then I guess the next step would be websites and emails. So if there is a company that you really want to work with, find their contact form on their website and just send an email. And some people on their websites, they'll have an about page, and there'll be certain people on that about page, and you can go and look them up on LinkedIn or Twitter and contact them directly. And of course, real life events, so conferences, training days, networking events. So every time there's an event in London, I have to shell out £200 to go there, but it's worth it for the number of people that I meet and the networking that I make. So even if I connect with just one person and then I get a writing job out of that, which is more than the value of my plane ticket, then it's super worth it. So there are other conferences as well, such as like MWare or AmWare, but they tend to be a bit further away. So it's up to you how much you want to budget and invest in that. But again, webinars are a great place to network as well. Even in the chat, you can chat with people.
And the third step is utilizing the resources you have around you. I'm guilty for not using a single resource when I first started as a medical writer because I didn't really know they existed. All I knew was about AMWA, which is the American Medical Writing Association. But that was all very kind of set in stone, stringent medical writing rules and regulations. Wasn't really much of a resource, didn't really inform me that much. But as the industry has sort of grown, a lot more people like us here at Write Clinic have started sharing their insights into both medical writing and into writing in general, as freelancing. And there are a lot of really good books and really good just newsletters for freelance writers. So obviously we have our Clinical Copy Club newsletter. We share, every couple of weeks we share some medical writing tips and tricks and just share different aspects of the career and how you can better yourself. But there are newsletters, for example, that help you find jobs as a freelance writers. So two that I follow myself still are Write Jobs Patron, which I think you pay $3 a month for, and All Things Freelance Writing, which is completely free. The Write Jobs Patron, you get an email 4 times a week, and it just sends you like the top 20 freelance writing roles. And these will be different tweets, LinkedIn posts, and different jobs on stuff like Indeed, all about medical writing. So like I said, it will be like someone who's posted something on LinkedIn saying, looking for a copywriter. But the Write Jobs Patron finds all of them for you and sends you them. So this saves you all the time. And for me here in Lisbon, I usually get it about 9 p.m. at night. So just before I get to bed, I can flick through my phone and think, okay, these look good. And then I'll send out my letter of interest to them. Likewise, All Things Freelance Writing, you can go on the website and have a look through their job board and see what's going on and even sign up to their newsletter. And they'll send you all the jobs that you need, which is also fantastic. There are also books out there. So there's one book by a writer called Jennifer Gosforth something. I will get a link for the book and post it to you guys. This book is called The Freelance Content Marketing Writer, and it's amazing. It kind of covers everything you need as a freelance writer. She's been a journalist and a writer for a good part of a decade and more. So she kind of shares industry experiences from her time as a journalist and as a writer. And it's a book I really recommend people reading who are starting up their career. And I wish I knew about this book at the start of my career rather than just like a year ago when I was already kind of more of a proficient medical writer. There's communities as well, as Virginia mentioned earlier. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to share 3 books that I'm reading at the moment. So there's this one called The Copywriter's Handbook, 4th edition by Robert Bly. Definitely recommend. There's also the Mastering the Craft of Writing. This one is by Stephen Wilbers, and it's got an exercise for every week of the year. So 52 exercises for you to become a better writer. And there's also this one, which is Writing Tools. So 55 Essential Strategies for Every Writer by Roy Clark. So I recommend these if you want to brush up on your writing skills and simply learn some techniques that can help you have a longer career as a writer.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing those. Just continue on from communities, as Virginia mentioned earlier about how well they are and you can talk to people. Communities are a very valuable resource. Like, for example, our medical writing community, not to sound biased, a lot of people share insights on different webinars, different conferences that are coming up. Sometimes people share jobs that may be perfect for other people around the world. And there are different medical writing tips too. Sometimes I'll share a tip that I just recently found out, which I think everyone will benefit from. Sometimes other writers will share a tip as well. And you can even sometimes post about your work. If you want some feedback from somebody, just be like, hi, if anyone doesn't mind at all, can you help me out with this? So communities are a fantastic place to kind of get you ahead and get you started. So don't be afraid to communicate in the communities, because everyone in that community is in the same boat as you, or has been in the same boat as you previously and is now ahead of you. So you're always going to be learning from people who have been in your shoes. And lastly, of course, our courses, both free courses and paid courses. And the thing is with copywriting, there isn't a direct degree for copywriting. You can't go and study copywriting in university right now. So it's a very much a self-taught career. And I know people who come from a journalism background or marketing background will learn about copywriting and learn different skills when it comes to writing. But actually being a copywriter, it's something you learn over time while working in the industry. So there are a lot of courses out there which, although aren't university credited, they're still very valuable courses created by people in the industry who know what they're doing. So, of course, we have the right clinic courses, the fundamentals of medical writing, which we'll talk more about later on. And we have a different aspects of our course, which people can learn depending on which area of medical writing they want to improve on. But there are also different copywriting courses, just writing courses in general, or journalism courses people can do online. And you can find these through both LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, or Reddit. Just have a look around and see what there is.
So after all of that, hopefully you've got an idea if you really want to become a full-fledged medical writer. And so at Right Clinic, our surprise is that we are launching a newly updated fundamentals of medical writing course. And today is the first day that you can get it. And we've got a special offer around it as well. So let's go through what it includes and what's new about it.
First of all, here's some testimonials
But
from our
first, we're going to
students.
talk about yeah.
Sorry, I think with that, because we both love to travel, we live differently. There's a bit of a lag, so please bear with us because sometimes
Sorry.
things finish earlier.
We're in different countries after all. So.
Go ahead, Virginia.
Yeah, so this is Claudia, and her previous job was a technical assistant at a center for infection research. And she came to me and she said, I really want to switch to writing because I don't really like my job and I want to do something different. And I've always really loved writing. And please, can you show me, how to get into it? And so I introduced her to the course, and she said she'd already done some courses by Right Clinic, which are on Udemy. And then we've also got the bigger course, which she then went on to take, which is the fundamentals of medical writing. And she was able to create her portfolio, get confident with her interview skills, and then landed a job as a scientific content writer for clinical trials. And every now and again, she'll send me an email saying, "Hi, can you help me with this, clinical trial write-up that I have to write?" And I said, "You know what? I just don't have that experience." But the fact is that she went through the whole journey that we've just described, where she's been networking, sharing content, and building up her skills through our course. And we've been giving her that feedback that she needs. And so she's ended up getting the job that she wants, and she's gone full time into writing. And I couldn't be more proud of her. And she loves it. It's such a different experience and different lifestyle.
And next up we have Tiernan. So Tiernan is a medical student. He's kind of fourth or fifth year medical student, and he has done incredibly. So he took one of our courses of attracting clients, and because he has set up his own social media and paid ads agency, which is incredible. This is what he set up during COVID, and he wanted some more help on finding more clients and understanding where our clients come from and how writing can help a social media agency. So he did our course. He was in touch with me quite a while, and he has skyrocketed his career as the owner of KE Socials. You should follow him on LinkedIn. His posts are very educational. He's very good, and he's working with some industry leaders in the medical education sector in the UK. So he's done very well following our course, and we're still in touch today. And that's a picture of Virginia with Tiernan at the YouTube Health seminar that was on this week.
That was last week. Yeah, so I he actually reached out to me and he said, "Oh, I really want to attend the next YouTube Health event," because he saw that I had gone to the one in July. And I said, "Oh, just email Vishal and ask." And so I gave him Vishal's email, and he said, "Oh, I just emailed him and he said yes." And I'm like, "Yay, I'm going to meet you finally." So he was there and we took a picture together, and it was really nice that he really appreciated being given the opportunity to network. So, knowing us is also really great. If you want to know how to do something, then reach out, and you get way more access to us in our course.
And funny story with Tiernan, speaking of networking, him and I worked together on a project, and the guy who owned the project was actually one of the consultants I worked with in hospital that we just got talking and helped me to write some content for them. So networking doesn't have to be or else. It could just be at your place of work when I was working on the wards.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know that. Fantastic. And this is Victoria. So Victoria was an army doctor, and she wanted to do something different, and she actually started a podcast, and she is the founder of the FGM Education Project. So FGM is female genital mutilation, which is a very serious topic that needs to be spoken about more, and we need to create more awareness around it. So it's great that she has this passion to spread that education. And so she fell into content writing, and now she is just really enjoying creating loads of content online. Her content is fantastic. You should definitely listen to her podcast. And she gave us loads of amazing feedback on our course and how it helped her, find useful resources. And she definitely recommends it for anyone who wants to start a career in medical writing. And of course, it's supported by her background as a medical doctor as well. So she brings all of that experience with her. And so, with these 3 testimonials, we've got a medical student, we've got a doctor, and we've also got someone who doesn't have any kind of medical background. So that was Claudia, the first one. So no matter where you are right now, you can get into medical writing. It will take some effort, but there will be clients out there who want to work with you.
So just to recap, the 3 mistakes you want to avoid are not giving yourself time to learn a new skill, not using social media for all it has to offer, and forgetting to value, your worth, your time, and forgetting to understand how much you can charge, and that there are other options available there to kind of maintain a longevity of your career as a freelance medical writer.
So if you take away one thing from this webinar, is that we want you to know that you can become a medical writer without spending a penny on a course. And we've shown you lots of ways that you can do that. And you absolutely can do it. And if we can, you can. So our course didn't exist before we got together, but we hope that the course will make it easier for you. And because you'll have access to us giving you feedback on all the elements of the course, which we'll go through, then that can help you get started faster.
But if you want to save yourself some time and learn from experts such as yourselves, we have developed a simple and powerful course that makes it easy to get started. And we give you feedback and support you every step of the way. Think of this course as a shortcut. It's sort of saving you the first initial 6 to 8 months of otherwise hard work you'd have to go and do finding out, all the different aspects of medical writing. And that's how we see it as sort of a shortcut to getting you to a point in your career as a freelance writer where you can start finding your clients, have your portfolio set up, and sort of go on and enjoy life as a freelance writer.
So the big question is, how can you get on this course and tap into the power of achieving a balanced and rewarding medical writing career?
Just to let you know, so from today, we've got until the end of October, for which the fundamentals of medical writing is now released. You can purchase it on our website, or you can just message one of us, and we have an exciting new offer alongside it too, which we'll cover very shortly. So this is sort of
just put the link in the chat.
Oh yes, of course. Sorry. And this is sort of a quick backstage of what the course has to offer for those of you who don't know, because we have updated it as well, and there's some more stuff there is that will really help you as a medical writer. So we'll be covering.
So in the course we cover.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go on, Virginia.
Go for it, Has. Okay, so I think there's a bit of a delay. All right, I'll go for it. So we'll be covering medical copywriting, which is what me and Has are total experts at, and regulatory medical writing. So when it comes to advertising medicines, that is regulated. So we'll be looking at it from the perspective of marketing. And essentially copywriting is writing for sales and getting people to take action. So there's a new module, which is SEO, and that's all about search engine optimization. So because I am working with the NHS and Google, I know a lot about that. And so I created this new module, which is now in our course. It's 50 new short videos. And it's specifically tailored for medical writers and healthcare information. So we also go through how to create a portfolio. And as part of the course, you should create your first 1 to 3 pieces for your portfolio, which we will then look at and give you feedback on. And we help you optimize your LinkedIn profile. So if you haven't fleshed out your LinkedIn profile, you go through all the steps in this part of the course to make sure that it is optimized so that recruiters can find you, clients can be interested in you. And again, we give you feedback on what to improve on your profile, everything from the banner to your description to your about section. And we also help you in the module of how to find clients as a freelance medical writer. So we go through everything that we've done to find clients and keep yourself going. And then if freelancing is not quite right for you yet and you want to take the plunge and get a full-time job to get experience, we also go through how you can find an employment as a freelance medical writer, not as a freelancer, a full-time employee job as a medical writer. So we've both done that at medical communications agencies and also at a digital health company. We also go through how to ace your interviews and how to pass your medical writing test. So we've both been through lots of interviews and we share all of our experiences and also real life examples of writing tests. And we also talk about how to manage your finances and how to master your work-life balance, because it's very common to try and do too much and then burn out and then you feel like giving up. And we want to avoid you feeling that way, because it's not good for you, for your mental health and also for your physical health as well. Because in real life, we have other responsibilities. We're not going to be spending 10 hours of our day looking for clients. We have to get that balance right so that we have time for other things which are more important.
And alongside the course, you'll get quite a few different benefits. So that includes a certificate for each module. You have lifetime access to the course, so you can do it at your own pace, whatever you want. You can always go back to certain modules if you're, say, for example, you went full-time, then you want to go back to freelancing, you can go back to the freelancing module and find out how to find clients. You have entry to our medical writers directory, which will be shared with different sort of medical writing agencies or sort of recruiters who need to hire medical writers, and they'll look through and be able to take their pick from whoever they want to work with. You'll have access to an inclusive community, and you'll have our special pricing for one-to-one coaching calls, which we'll cover very shortly. And you also get feedback on your assignments from us. So if there's anything you're unsure of or how to kind of present your specific type of work, you have access to us by buying the course. You just message us and just send us whatever it is you've written, and we can give you feedback on it, like as if we're your editor kind of thing. And also give you the opportunity to be referred to work with our clients. So, for example, I've worked with one coaching client before who managed to land their first role because it was an old client of mine who I don't work with anymore, but I was sort of able to refer them on to him because they were still looking for writers, and I was able to give my student their first client who they're working with now. So there's always that opportunity too. So the limited bonus we were just talking about is that for the next, I believe, 6 or 7 weeks until the 31st of October, alongside buying the course, anybody here in the webinar now and anybody who's part of the Right Clinic community can get 3 coaching calls from either one of us for £150. That's £50 a coaching call, which, we'd say is quite a bargain. And during that call, we can cover anything you would like, whether it's finding clients, whether it's going over your LinkedIn profile with you and helping you optimize it, or whether it's, helping you write a letter of interest, which is what you would send to clients whenever you're trying to cold pitch, or whether it's helping with cold pitching. Literally anything there is that you want help with, we're here to cover it, to help you out with it.
And yeah, these coaching calls are 1 hour each, and you can pick whether you want to have them with me or Hass, and they are worth £387 if you wanted to buy them outside of this offer time. So as part of the course, you get lifetime access. The entire course is valued at over £1,150 because we do sell the individual modules separately. So there are over 12 modules in the course, and they're each worth over £99. So that's how we get the valuation of $1,150. So you're getting everything for less than half the price. And again, it's all lifetime access.
So remember, it is your time.
I think.
So not that. So not doing anything will never get you results. It didn't work for us. I've tried sitting back before, and all I've done is complain to my partner about not finding clients. So I realized the best part of becoming a freelance medical writer is you kind of just have to put yourself out there. You sort of become immersed in this amazing world of medical writing, and you start seeing things differently. Whether you start identifying potential prospects to work with that you would never have thought to reach out to before, and it becomes amazing. So there is actually no perfect time. It's only when we stepped up and sort of invested in ourselves and made the big scary decision did things start to shift in our life for the better. So only when my mindset shifted to that of a freelance writer is sort of when I saw a really big difference in what I do, and sort of understanding what it is and defining myself as a freelance medical writer, and quite accomplished too. And having that sort of persona glowing out of me really helped attract clients to me as well.
Yeah, and everything that you invest in, that's education and knowledge, is something that you will keep forever. And I invest in courses, I invest in coaching, I invest in a lot of things, and that's just helped me get ahead faster. And the biggest thing is putting in the time and work and having the connections with the right people so that you can learn from them and you can get to where they are.
I mean, for example, when I used to locum in the hospitals in London, I'd work my 9 to 5, and then I would come back for 2 or 3 days a week, and I'd be working from 5 to 8, just to run piece, and just to kind of help build my portfolio. And I did that over time. It made me some more money on the side. It was more profitable than locuming, but at the same time helped me build my career as a medical writer to where I am today. So now I can work full time as a medical writer, freelance or in house, and sort of be satisfied both with my income and with my career progression.
Yeah, and I wish that, when I moved to Germany and I was working part-time at my husband's school because they needed an extra teacher, all the time that I was spending writing articles for the client that I found on Upwork, I wish that someone was there to give me feedback and to tell me you only need to write, maybe 5 or so articles rather than writing 70, because I only got paid about $10 or $12 per article. And I just didn't know any better. There was no one to advise me. And that's why I started the community and I started asking other people questions. What don't you know? What would be helpful for you to know to start your journey? And that's been the biggest inspiration to start a community and help us learn from each other. And it's so important to know that the feedback you get can definitely help you get to where you want to go faster.
So our coaching offer ends on the 31st of October, as we said. After 31st of October, our coaching prices will go up to the same price as they always have been, which is, I believe, £387 for 4 calls. But our course price will remain the same throughout the year. So just make sure to get this offer now while it's still available, if you would like some specific coaching from either one of us.
So there are 2 ways that you can pay for the course. So it's the same price either way. So you can either do a one-time payment, which is a single payment, and it's £450, or you can do a payment plan where you make 3 monthly payments of £150 per month for 3 months. And you don't have to pay for it ever again. So once you've paid up the £450, that's it. You've got the course for life.
So if you want to get started today, there are 5 very easy steps for you to do. So you just have to go to our website, writeclinic.com, choose Fundamentals of Medical Writing, select the payment plan, and then you can message either me or Virginia for who you want to be coached by, and we'll send you a link for the special price for the coaching. And just complete your course at your own pace and ask us any questions you have.
Yeah, and we'll review everything that you create during your time on the course. You don't have to do everything all at once. If it takes you 2 months to do the course, that's amazing. If it takes you a bit longer, don't feel like you're slow. Just do it at your own pace, because we want you to get the most out of the course as much as possible. And we really appreciate all of your kind of feedback and any discussions that you start. So each individual video in the course will have a little discussion. So if you have a question, you just write a question there and we'll immediately answer as soon as possible, normally within about 1 to 2 days.
So we're going to send an email after this webinar for links to the course and to anything else you might need, any more resources. So just keep an eye out on your emails.
And we are now going to answer your questions. So even though we have a question answer session webinar next on Saturday this week, which will be at 9 a.m. CET Berlin time, we're going to go through the questions that you've been asking in the chat during this webinar, and we're going to answer them. So let's scroll right back to the top. So I think Patricia said that her question was answered already about the portfolio. And so the next question is, I think it's Dimitris. I can't seem to stop scrolling. Let me try. Oh, okay. Dimitris has summarized his questions.
Oh, thank you very much.
What are the... Yeah, thank you, Dimitris. So what are the barriers to cross-border hiring? And so I experienced this, so did Hass. From my experience, there is a fee that the company will have to pay in order to hire you. And that covers the kind of HR processing. So they have to verify that I have the right to work in Germany and that this is where I live. And they also create a German contract. So they pay, I think it's a certain value of the contract in order to hire me. I think it's something like 10 or 15% that they pay on top of my salary to the HR company. And so my contract and my employment was through the HR company called Oyster HR. And there are other companies like that, like Bamboo HR, or there's Deal, which is DEEL. And those are companies that essentially allow you to work from anywhere in the world, and they'll give you a local contract so you can work as an employee for any company in the world. So in terms of the value to convince the potential employer, you have to have a portfolio that basically has exactly what they want. So when I was working at the medical communications agency, they were really interested in my portfolio because I'd created content on product pages for an online doctor and also had a big volume of them. So I had 70 pages that I had written, which took me like 6 months. And they had a client which was Zava Online Doctor, and they were looking to launch as the online doctor because at the time there was the COVID pandemic and there were a lot of companies that just didn't have an online presence in terms of selling medicines. So that was what convinced them to hire me, because I had something very niche, very specific that they were looking for, that would meet the need of one of their clients. That was a big contract. So I think their contract was worth over 100,000. And so by employing me for, I don't know, it was like 40,000, they would still make a massive profit. So.
And in terms of Bali, Dimitri, you asked about Bali. Certain countries have tax treaties and agreements with other countries. So places like Bali, as long as you're not employed by an Indonesian company, and you're not taking money from the country, tax-wise, I could just pay tax in the UK. Because I was employed at the time, I was employed by a UK company, and I was still a UK tax-paying resident, so I was just paying UK taxes while living there on a social visa. And strategies for competing against low-wage localities. There is a lot of competition out there, but as long as you can justify your wages and your rates, there should be no competition, because a lot of us are healthcare professionals by background, so that automatically gives our wages quite a big bump compared to others who don't have a background in healthcare. Second of all, depending on your portfolio, how long you've been in the industry. If you have been a freelancer for a while, you can obviously up your rates accordingly as you go along. If you have just started as a freelancer and have no previous experience, but you're still a healthcare professional, you can still raise your rates higher than what other competitors may be. You'll be surprised what you can add to your portfolio even throughout your time studying. So in healthcare, for example, I did a master's degree. I have a dissertation in pharmacy that saved on my laptop. I was able to actually send that across as an example of my writing, academic writing, and that's kind of built up on my experience knowing how to reference and find sources, etc. And that already gave me a bit more credibility on and raising my rates. And it's that's why I can raise my rates higher. And especially if you understand the industry, so if you're a healthcare professional, if you know how to talk to patients and you know how to talk to doctors and other healthcare professionals, which is what the content you'll be writing essentially is, that gives you a big upper hand too. So when it comes to comparing rates, don't just look at the price that's involved, just look at what you're actually offering as a writer. And also, rates kind of vary. So if somebody, like, I look at hourly rates and word rates as sort of one entity. So someone might say, I will pay you, let's for the sake of it, $50 for 1,000 words. If it takes you 30 minutes to write 1,000 words, say it's a topic that you know about quite well and it's easy enough to write. I mean, I know that that's still really fast. But let's say for the sake of ease, it takes you 30 minutes to write $50 worth of words. That means you're working at $50 in half an hour and your rate's still $100 an hour. So even if somebody is offering that kind of piece, your rate is still technically $100 an hour, where somebody else who might do that piece might take them 5 hours to do. So you're still actually earning more for that piece, just because it didn't take you that long to do. So I don't always look at price per word, and I just look at like how long it would actually take me to do something, and sort of factor in that into what the overall hourly cost would be. And then I could justify that and be like, yep, that's a rate that I would be happy with, or no, that's a rate that will take me too long. Like, for instance, I can write a journalism piece that might take me 11 hours because I'm interviewing sources and trying to find sources and spending so much time finding the right people to talk to. But if they pay me well, I'm like, okay, cool, my hours are actually justified. But if they don't pay me that well and I'm still doing 12 hours, and I'm like, well, no, that's not worth it for me. So sometimes that's how I look at it. So somebody just charges a very low amount, I just check what they're offering and just see if your offering surpasses those.
So somebody also asked, for a beginner medical writer with no impressive portfolio yet, what is a good first piece to write in a blog? As much as I would like to share my journey, I'm nowhere near my goals yet. Would it be okay to blog about starting the journey, or should I dive directly to health education or articles I like to write? So those are two different types of writing. So one is kind of journaling, where you're starting the journey, and the other one is actual health education that you would be writing for a specific audience, like patients or healthcare professionals. So what I would recommend is you write health education articles, because that is what you would be writing as a medical writer, and that helps you to build your portfolio. So pick a topic that you're interested in and write about that. So to share an example, I started my blog writing about travel health topics. So I wrote about how to treat a rabies bite, or how Japanese encephalitis is not something that you hear about, but a lot of the areas where you catch Japanese encephalitis, a lot of the children there are vaccinated because it's so common. So try to think about your area of expertise and what you'd like to be known for. And my travel health blog helped me to attract the online doctor that wanted me to write for them, because they had a travel health section and they wanted me to write about products on travel health. So things like jet lag or malaria and things like that. So by demonstrating your expertise in writing health education on a specific topic, that helps you to attract the client that you want to write for. If you are looking to share your journey, then I would say that is something you can post about on LinkedIn, on social media. So you can say, I'm starting my journey to becoming a medical writer, and say, here's my first article. Here's what I like to write about. So you are expressing what you like to write about, so your ideal client, and then you're sharing an example of your work. So that's a fantastic post, which will catch the eye of a recruiter, because they've got what you like to write about and then also an example of your work. So a lot of people, when they write a health article, they'll just say, hey, check out my article, and they'll just post it, post a link to their blog. But what you should really do is say, hey, I wrote this article because, and write a story behind why you wrote it. So you would say, I'm really interested in becoming a medical writer, and I love writing about travel health, and my experience as a pharmacist for 5 years in a travel health clinic means that I'm really passionate about helping people protect themselves from disease when they go abroad. So here's an article I wrote about how to protect yourself or treat yourself if you do get a rabies bite. So that gives you the I can see. Thank you, Virginia. I work as a school and ambulance physician. This is why I'm into health education. Might look into the cases I encounter with my patients. Yeah, that's a great idea. I think that it's so important to bring your unique self to what you write, because that's why clients would come to you. So that is fantastic. So yeah, and Demetrius is writing, thanks. To oversimplify, have a big and relevant portfolio. Some countries have a tax treaty and employer of record method noted, and evaluate if what you are offering is competitive. Yeah, great summary to your questions. So yeah, you've got two kind of aspects, and I think there was another unique questions. I'm just going to grab it by scrolling.
Just to follow up on the Dimitri's as well. So just Dimitri, just to remember, like, that your rates, time yourself how long it would take you to write 1,000 words on different styles of writing, and see like what that would be, and then sort of find out what you'd like to charge hourly, and see how much that would come to as a per word basis. And that means when people are setting out saying, well, we're looking for a writer, our rates is 15 cents per word. You can look at it and say, okay, that actually falls in line with what my budget, with what I value my hourly rate to be. Or you can say, no, that's too low or too high. Well, not too high, but too low for me. And you can just put it that way. So sort of give yourself the time to kind of figure out how much you should be charging. It does take a little bit of time to do that.
I think the next question is a great one for you to answer, because you were in Bali. So our clients open to hiring writers outside the US, UK, Australia. So House was in Bali, so it's way outside of those three countries. So there are not a lot of medical writing opportunities in our country. In the Philippines, my goal is to become a medical writer and recreate the opportunities for healthcare workers like me who want to quit clinical practice.
Yeah. So first of all, as we said, we need to build a portfolio. I wanted to mention beforehand, there are certain websites that, although you work for free, you do get your blog, your article posted on our blog with your byline. So for example, you can write for us if you have something you want to write, and then we can post on our website with your name on it. So that can be sent as the portfolio piece. There's a company called Clarity, which is a healthcare company, and they're always hiring sort of people who want to learn how to medical write. So they're hiring people, although for free, but it's, if you do a couple of pieces for them, it's good for your portfolio. And there's a company called Geeky Medics as well, which pay $25 per piece, but they're quite a very well renowned medical education company here in the UK. So you can also reach out to them and pitch one of the articles that they're looking for and see if they'll get back to you. But to answer your questions, clients open to hiring writers outside? I don't think so, because there's a lot of tax problems. And when you're being hired by a company outside of those countries, there comes a lot of trouble with tax. And I think that's where it all boils down to. So although I was in Bali, I was working for a company in the UK. I am a tax resident in the UK anyway. So for me, being hired by a UK company was relatively simple because I had my national insurance number. I could just provide them with that. I was just paying UK tax. Salaries worked, the same. I was able to, with my employer, work out a time that I can work remotely from Bali that would kind of coincide with their time. And it meant that there was 2 hours overlap every day, which we can talk to each other, but otherwise I'd work my own time. With Australia, for example, if you say, I want to work for a medical writing company in Australia, they'll just say, okay, have you registered as a tax-paying resident in Australia? How can we facilitate that? Do you need a visa? And that's when it starts getting a bit complicated. But as a freelancer, you should be able to work with any company you want because you'll be working as an independent contractor. So the companies you'll just be sending an invoice based on your services, and the companies that you work for will just be giving you money back, for what you've invoiced. And then it's up to you to kind of sort out your taxes from wherever you are based on what you've been earning. So in short, yes, you can work as a freelancer from any country, but no, you cannot work full-time from any country.
Yeah, it depends on the company if they're happy to do that. So with technology companies, they're probably more likely to do that. So if you're thinking about health tech or digital health, they know the potential for technology. So it's kind of their normal situation to have companies hire writers and people with other skill sets, such as developers or programmers or customer success teams or marketing teams from abroad. So in the digital health company that I was in, they were happy for me to work full time from Germany, and they also hired people from the US to work full time, even though they're based in the UK. And I also recently did a job interview where, I was very kind of transparent and honest with them. And they said, we really appreciate your honesty. And I said, even though you're based in Barcelona, I would prefer to stay in Germany and work remotely from here. And, they were open to that kind of situation. And when I asked them, have you thought about hiring any other writers? And they said, no one else has your profile. So we've only offered you an interview. And that was really nice to know that I had built up a range of experience that they were interested in so that I could get the advantage of not having to relocate to another country and I could work fully remotely. And generally, if you do work for a company in another country, they might pay for you to come and visit the office every few months. So that was the arrangement with my two previous jobs. I would go and visit them every 2 or 3 months, and they would cover the flights and normally 1 or 2 nights of accommodation. So there are advantages. They're very hard to get, but if that's what you want, then chase after it. Keep going, keep trying. And recruiters are another way to work for companies in different countries. So they will need a freelancer and they will say, okay, we have a 2-month contract with this company and they really want you to write about eye drops for this marketing project. And so you'll get the opportunity to say, I worked with a company in the UK, helping them with their marketing material for a product launch for eye drops or something like that. So there are opportunities out there. It's much harder to get full time, but there are opportunities. I often use, Demetrius has just written, I often use a guide, need to find it, and sometimes ChatGPT for kicks to determine the hours certain projects take, although I'm not sure if I agree with the listed hours. So I would say what I've said in a previous discussion with students in our course, which is whenever you start a new project, there's a learning curve. So you have to learn about the brand, you have to establish a style guide, and then you have to work out a process of how you're going to write and get your writing approved. So the first few things you create for a client will take a lot longer than things that you create in future. So, for example, when I started at the digital health company in my previous job, it took me about 3 to 6 months to really get under the skin of what the company does and how to represent it correctly and the audiences that they were targeting. And then I was offered a step up to work on their social media and essentially have free reign and work on that autonomously. So without someone really, having to say, yes, you can post this, no, you can't post that. So I would say if anyone is estimating project hours, you take it with a pinch of salt. It will definitely be more hours in the beginning than in future. And this is why we definitely encourage, if you're looking for freelance clients, that you do a very short, small project in the very beginning. And then you want after that to have a retainer for at least 3 to 6 months because you've spent all that effort learning about the brand. You want to be able to use that knowledge to continue to write for them, and you'll become a more efficient writer. So that's definitely a massive added value for the brand. So once you've essentially trained yourself in what the company is about and how to write for them, then it's much quicker to produce material for them.
I think that's everything we have. That's
right. So I think that's all the questions. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for attending the webinar.
Thank you so much for attending. Yeah. I'm glad that you found it interesting. And we'll post the recording on our YouTube channel. So our YouTube channel is at Right Clinic. So nice and easy to remember. So if you're looking for us on YouTube, just go to the search bar and type at Right Clinic. And yeah, we'll post the recording. We'll send you an email. And glad that you found it great. Thank you so much for your questions and your feedback. I don't know if there's another slide after this or if that's the final one, but
that's the final one.
Yeah, it looks like it is. So yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
If you guys have any feedback, by the way, anyway, we could change it up or anything that we could do better, drop one of us a DM on LinkedIn. Our DMs are always open, so just throw us a message, and just if there's anything you want to see differently next time, just let us know, and we'll make sure to incorporate that for next time.
Yeah, or if you're on YouTube and you've just watched the recording, then leave a comment down below, and we'll also leave links in the description so that you can connect with us. And if you want to find a link to the course, we'll also put that into the description, and a link to the newsletter as well. So good luck with your journey to becoming a medical writer. We hope that we can help you along the way, or we have helped you by providing everything in this webinar. And we will hopefully see you at the next one on Saturday the 16th. And we'll leave a link to join that as well. And you'll find out everything you need to know and have all your questions answered. So yeah, have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.